Verse 1. One day, Peter and John were going up to the temple. Duh. Yeah? And you know why it says up to the temple, right? Because you got to go up, right? Okay, they were going up to the temple at the time of prayer at 3 in the afternoon. Now a man crippled from birth was being carried to the temple gate called Beautiful, right down there, where he was put every day to beg from those going into the temple courts. And when he saw Peter and John about to enter, he asked them for money. And Peter looked straight at him, as did John. Then Peter said, "Look at us." So the man gave them his attention, expecting to get some money from them. Then Peter said, "Silver or gold I do not have, but what I have I give you. In the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, stand up and walk." And taking him by the right hand, he helped him up, and instantly the man's feet and ankles were strengthened, and he began to walk. And then he went with them into the temple courts, walking and jumping and praising God. What do we say? When God does it right. Yeah? You know, walking and jumping and praising God. And when all the people saw him walking and praising God, they recognized him as the same man who used to sit begging at the temple gate called Beautiful, and they were filled with wonder and amazement at what had happened. And while the beggar held on to Peter and John, all the people were astonished and came running. And when Peter saw this, he said to them, "Men of Israel, why does this surprise you? Why do you stare at us as if by our own power or godliness we made this man walk? The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of our fathers, glorified his servant Jesus. You handed him over to be killed to Pilate." I mean, he kind of got right to the point, didn't he? And then he goes on to give this amazing sermon in Acts chapter 3 and Acts chapter 4. I love the fact that Peter took advantage of the situation. Isn't that cool? I mean, they could have said nothing. They could have taken the glory for themselves, but they went right to it. The crowd gathers, they preach the gospel. I like that. That's cool. But what I want us to focus on for just a minute is what Peter and John said to the crippled man. What did they say? They said, "Silver and gold we don't have, but what we have we give you." And what did they have? They had Jesus Christ, right? And the gospel. They had the living Christ in their life, and that's what they had, and that's what they offered to this guy. Now, you know, I was at a pastor's conference a number of years ago, and Charles Stanley was speaking, and he stood up, all pastors there, and I'll never forget what Charles Stanley said. He said, "Gentlemen," he said, "I want you to remember that you only have one thing to offer people." He said, "It's not your oratory, it's not your knowledge, it's not your learning, it's not your erudition, it's not your speaking ability, it's not your humor, it's not your ability to hold a crowd. The only thing you have to offer people is Jesus Christ." So he said, don't offer them anything else. Offer them Jesus. That's all you got to offer them, and that's all you need to offer them. And you know, I was a young pastor at that time, and man, those words still ring in my mind to this day. Whenever I walk on stage, whenever I have an opportunity to preach at all, Lon, you only got one thing to offer people, and it's not you. What can you do? You can't do anything. What can you do? The only thing you've got to offer people, Lon, is Jesus Christ. So offer people Jesus Christ. That's what you've got that's worth offering somebody else. And so, that's what I'd like to offer you as we conclude the day here, is Jesus Christ. You know, I don't know the spiritual condition of every one of us who came on the tour. A few of you, I know. Most of you, I didn't know you that well. So I'm sure we've got people in all over the map in terms of where we stood spiritually when we started the tour. What I'd like to be able to know is that as we head home, there's not a single one of us who's not going home born again and knowing that Jesus Christ is in their life. Not a one of us